it seems like it's one of those things that if you're a family and you say, okay, we want this to look different. Going back to your first statement, if hey, there's our schedule looks different, so our house looks different. If you said part of looking different is at dinner when we go out to eat, we're not going to sit here and be on screens the whole time, or we're not going to have that in school. We're not going to, whatever it looks like, how do you do that and enforce it as a parent and actually do it when most families don't choose to, that you're around?
Yeah.
Most family doesn't care.
It's a great question. So I'm just going to talk through some of the things. My family's not perfect by 100 miles, but I'm going to talk through some of the things we do in my house. I think the first thing is you can't go to a restaurant and have your young children, especially, but young children up through teenagers, you can't bait and switch them. What I mean is mom and dad can't sit at home glued to their screens 24/7 or watching a big screen while holding a little screen and scrolling and whatever, and then go to a restaurant and be like, we need to put our phones away. Like, that's disorienting to a kid. It will feel uncomfortable because mom and dad are now staring at us and we're not used to the gaze of an adult like that.
Yeah.
So if you want to have that kind of restaurant family, then put the screens down at your house. In our house, we usually, not always, but usually will announce it. Okay. So my wife said last night, she's a writer, and she's like, hey, my writing group, I got to turn some stuff in, so I'm going to have some computer time. She's a grown woman, dude. She didn't have to announce that to the house. But what she was doing was giving our kids context. You're going to see mom behind a screen, and she's working, and here's what she's doing. Or I'll tell my kids when they come in, hey, dad. I'll be like, hold on. I'm in the middle of working on this banking thing. I'm going to need about 7 minutes. Or I'm making an Instagram post for work. I thought you hated Instagram. I do with all my guts, but it's a tool I use at work. So give me 4 minutes and I'm going to hit send on this thing. And then I've got to be uncomfortable and turn it down. I also have my kids. They're pretty funny. Whenever I pull up my phone to text somebody, my kids both at the same time just go, texting. And it's just a funny dad turned into a zombie, right?
Yeah.
And I give them permission to call me out on that because it encourages me to get going. And then when we go to our friend's house, this started back in 5th grade. My wife, she's been an educator for 20 plus years. I've been in education for 20 plus years. And we just saw these things destroy human beings, period. Yeah. And so neither of us have any sort of weirdness or remorse or fear about being pretty explicit about our expectations. And so when my 5th grade son would go to a friend's house, he was the only kid in his class without a smartphone. The only kid in 5th grade, which is insane to me. It is insane to me. But we called the parents and said, hey, Hank's not allowed to go to places where kids have smartphones. If he got invited to his birthday, we'd love for him to come. He loves these kids, your son or daughter or friends. Would you all take up the smartphones? And his small group, zero pushback. In fact, it became the norm.
Wow.
And here's the thing. By having two weirdos like me and my wife, we gave all these other parents permission because they felt it too. They don't like their kids just zombied out on their phones either. And so we became kind of the well, the Delonys don't do it, and he's got a show, so no more screens no more phones for us. It gave everybody permission. So usually it takes one, in economics, they call it the stubborn minority, right? Yeah. When it comes to driving, 10% of the population would never, ever, ever buy a standard. Remember the old clutch and shifting? That's right. They would not buy it. So car makers had to make an automatic and a standard. And then finally they just said, we're just not going to make standards. Not because simply because 10% of the population would never touch it. People who drove standards would also drive automatics, but didn't work the other way. It just takes a small, stubborn minority to say, I will not do this. And most people are like, all right, I'll opt in. And when they come to our house, the kids all come to our house, dude, they run out in the woods. And by the way, I am huge on kid risk. My kids always are out in the plain in the woods. I don't know what they're doing. I think more kids need more cuts and bruises and the occasional broken arms. Like, they need to go out and have adventures, but they all drop their phones in a basket right on our kitchen table. And I love it. And they don't even think anymore. They just know that when you come to Delony's house, you drop your phone off, and dude, it's just like they're free. They're like unhooking a chain from them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I know there's so many parents right now, they're going to listen to this and go, oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to do this, but I know somebody's going to go, but what if my kid resents me?
My
What if
goal,
that group
they will
doesn't?
not. They're going to look at you when they're 25 and say, where were you when I needed you?
Mm,
And if you have a 12-year-old that has never not liked you, you're not doing parenting right.
yeah.
The goal of parenting is not to be liked by your 13-year-old or your 8-year-old. It is for them to know they are deeply and profoundly loved, they are safe, and they are in an environment where they can make good choices.
Yeah.
That's what a kid needs to feel. And they're supposed to not like you. 13-year-olds know everything that ever existed about everything. My son, who was 14, he was lecturing me on creatine use the other day to the point that I text messaged Lane Norton, who's one of the top PhD exercise people on the planet.
Sure.
And I said, hey, I'm arguing with my 14-year-old. Will you help me with this? And he wrote back like, first of all, you're arguing with a 14-year-old. And I was like, what am I doing? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? But they're supposed to be frustrated with you. They're supposed to not like you. And that goes back to the earlier travel sports thing. A parent should not outsource their emotional regulation to a kid. Kid can't carry that.
Yeah.
Discussions in this show are for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and SmartPro Financial are not affiliated.